Kakalosh Boker or Masechet Menahot Daf Yomi Daf Peitet Amud Aleph 89a1. We're by the two dots on the first line where it says about the Chetzi log was used for the Shemen Todah. Yeah, so the Chetzi log was used for the Shemen Todah. So he says over here like this. Tanya, we learned in the Braita. Rabbi Akiva Omer. Rabbi Akiva says, "Matamul Omar." What does it come to teach you? Bashemen, bashemen, shtepamim. Why does it say by the lechme todah twice bashemen? So he says, "Ilu lo nemalam bashemen echad." If it only said once, Hayiti Omer, I would have said, "Hareu kechol menachot lilog." It's going to be like all the menachot for one log. Achshav shekatav bashemen bashemen, but now it's written bashemen bashemen. Avi rabuy ribuy achad ribuy. It's a double positive. So he says, if so there's no double positive to extract, to become minus. Right? So miyato katuv, so the pasuk is going to exclude chetzi log. So ribuy achad ribuy, says the Gemara, it's a chat ribuy, it's only one inclusion. Ela, but rather, ilu lo neman b'shemen, right? If it wouldn't have been said b'shemen kol yikar, I would have said, areu kechol menachot, it would have been like any mincha, which is to do with the log. But now that it says b'shemen b'shemen, now it's a ribuy achar ribuy. Ve'en ribuy achar ribuy, shemiyato katuv lachmei log. Meaning like this, we only have, right, for us, we only have the concept of a double negative means a positive. But we don't have a double positive equals a negative. But they have the double positive also near. It's not a positive. It's like double inclusion. That's a better word. It's an inclusion. It's like bringing something you don't need to write. I mean, there's something here. So the same thing over here. There's something that we have to just understand. Okay. So he says, right? Ella, but rather, he says, Ilu lo nemar b'shem. Fine. So Yachol, I would have thought to say chetzi log ze mitchalek lishloshet haminim. I would have thought to say that this chetzi log is going to be mitchalek for the three different species. For the chalot rekikin the revucha, as keshu omer when it says b'shemen, right? I would have said birvicha. Shen tamul omar riba shemen l'revicha. That's what's the case. You used to bring a chetzi log shemen v'chotzeo. You used to divide it, right? Chetzio lechalot rekikin, v'chetzio l'revicha. Right? Half of it for the Rekikin, half of them for the Revicha. So Amar lo Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Kiva, right? He says, Imatam arbe kol hayom kulo b'shemen b'shemen. Even if you're going to come and start telling me shemen all day, enu shomelech, I'm not going to listen to you. Ela but rather, chetzi log shemen letodar vevita log shemen lenazir ve'achad asar yom shebenidal lenidal lechal Moshe miSinai. He says lechal Moshe miSinai. What does that mean? You've got chetzi log shemen todar, revit shemen for the nazir, and the 11 days. Right, 7-11. Remember that. You remember? It was 7 days of Nida and then 11. Right, so it's 11 days of Nida. Ben Nida Nida is Zalachal Moshe miSinai. And he said, I don't care inclusion. You know that. That's it. Like, you know that you don't need anything else. So he says, Balog haya meoded. So Tara Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Bemetzora ani ketif. So what does it mean now by the Metzora ani that it's written? So he says, Isaron balul velog. Limed al Isaron shu ta'un log. Divrei chachamim, these words of chachamim. Rav Nachem Eliezer Yaakov omrim, afilu mincha shel 60 esronim, ela ala luga. It's only going to have the log. Shneimar lemincha velog shamen. So ask the Gemara, Rav Nachem Eliezer Yaakov, he says, Hay Isaron balul velog. What does he do with Isaron balul and log? So he says, Aul legufeh. Right? It's legufeh. The Kamar Rahman, the Torah says, "Lighti chad isaron." You're going to bring one isaron. V'idach and the other one legufeh lo tzarich. You don't need it. I mean, the Gemara Rahman, since the Torah needs it for by Metzora, shlosha korbanot u'shlosha esronot. Achad echad korban, achad isaron. Since it's one korban of the Metzora ani, so therefore he's going to bring one isaron of solod mincha. V'idach and the other one, itzich. You need it. Sal kadai. I mean, I would have thought to say holu v'chasar rachmana latuy b'dalut, that you're going to bring b'dalut. Emalu l'baya. I would say that you don't need it klal at all. So he says, "Ve'idach," and the other one, legamre lo ashkachan. You don't need it. You can't say it's legamre. For Rabbanan, and according to the rabbis, hayle mincha v'lo kshamen mayav. What are you going to do it exactly? So he says, "Ha'u lemitnadev mincha shleif chol midvar ataun log umayni." What is that? And isaron. Ve'idach, and the other one, he says, "Tar teshuma mina." We're going to learn it for two different things. Shisha lepar arba la'il shlosha keves. You're going to need 6 lugin for the wine and the oil, right, for the par. 4 for the ail, 3 for the keves. He says, Minala, and how do you know? Hin one hin is 12 log. Tichtiv shemen zaitin. Uchtiv, and it's written, ze, meaning ze is 12. Zain is 7, and he is 5. So it's 12. So therefore it's going to be 12. Okay, shlosha umekza. Yeah, he says, shlosha umekza la menurah, chatzi log lechonen. Menan mile, how do you know these words? The Tanu Rabbanan, right? Because right, the rabbis are teaching you, right? Yaroch oto Aaron uvanav me'erev ad boker. Ten la midata shete doleket ve'olechem me'erev ad boker. He says you have to give her from the midah that it should be doleket ve'olechet the entire night from the erev ad boker. Davar acher, another explanation, me'erev ad boker, she'en lech avodah shekshera me'erev ad boker ela zo bilvad. There's not going to be another avodah which in the Beit HaMikdash which is going to be kosher, right? Me'erev ad boker, only this one, right? She'aru chachamim chatzi log me'orta v'atzafra, because the chachamim came and they were mishaed that it's going to be from the morning until from the nighttime until the morning. Okay, that means that's how they were mishaed. That means they evaluated how much oil do they need in order for it to be lit from the nighttime to the morning. That's what they needed. Okay, that means even if it's going to be in the winter time, which is a very, very long night, this is what's going on. There are those that say they were doing it from the top to the bottom, right? Which means at the beginning they brought the log shalem for every single candle, and the candles were lit all night and day. The next day they went and they did a little bit less, right? And it was still the entire day. And meaning that like this, at the beginning they wanted to make sure that everything's fine, so they put the maximum. They realized, there's leftover. So what? They put a little bit less. There's still leftover. So then they put less. Meaning that they went and they wanted to, in order to evaluate exactly evaluation. So then they kept on saying, okay, how much do I need? You understand? Fine. So he says, Vika Damri, and some people say, Mimata Lamala Sheru. Mandamar, according to the Mandamar, Mimata Lamala Sheru, Hatorah Chasal Mamon Shel Yisrael. Mandamar, Mimala Lamata Sheru, right? In Aniyut, Bimkom Ashirut. What does that mean? There's no Aniyut in Ashirut, meaning that when a person is in a place of Ashirut, they're not going to be Noega Aniyut. In the Bet HaMikdash, you're going to, that's why I told you always, right? They're always Shefa. Right? Do you know that I always saw this a lot of times that there was a minhag, right? That, for example, no empty bottles on the table.
Yes.
They could have like 20 bottles of wine. If there's an empty bottle on the table, out. Why? There's only shefa. There's only full bottles here.
Yes.
There's no such thing as an empty bottle. Other people, they come, they'll leave it there, they'll put it lying down, they'll this. No. Out. They don't want anything. Yeah, any of this. Okay? Fine. Mishnah on the bottom of Peitet Amud Aleph. Second last line. They used to mix the niske parim with the niske elim, the wine libations of the parim with the elim, right? V'niske kvasim v'niske kvasim, right? And avayachid v'shel tzibur. Yeah, Peitet Amud Bet 89b. Shelayom b'shel emesh. You could also do from today and from yesterday. Aval em me'arivim, but you're not going to mix of the kvasim with the parim or the elim. Now, why? I don't know. The Gemara is going to say, because he says belilata shel mincha parim ve'elim is much more thick than the minchat kvasim. So if you're going to come and you're going to mix them together, it's going to absorb it, right? And therefore, the kvasim is going to be lacking, and the minchat parim is going to be more. So therefore, that's why you're not allowed to add them together, because it's going to become too much. So therefore, he says it's going to be one's lacking, one's going to have more. What happens if you do mix them together, right? Elu b'fnei atzman v'elu b'fnei atzman. Right? You have to do each one separately. It's going to be kosher. Okay? But if it was before the belila, then it's going to become pasul. Right? Meaning, only after you already kneaded it and you mixed it together, it's going to be kosher. But if it was before the kneading, and now I mixed everything together, it's going to become pasul, because basically one of them absorbs more. So the one that absorbs more is going to have more, and the other one, which was supposed to have a certain amount, has less. So one of them is going to have more, one's going to have less. It's pasul. So that's why it has to be after the kneading. So after the kneading,
separate them, then put them together.
Yeah, meaning at the beginning they have to be separate. Only after kneading each one separate. Now, if it gets mixed up together, it's going to be kosher, right? But if it gets mixed up together before the kneading, it's going to be pasul. And again, but even the lechatchila, you don't need them together. Okay, fine. Says the Mishnah, hakeves ba ima omer. The keves is going to come right with the omer. Afal pisha minchato kifula, even though it's going to be kaful the mincha. But the nesachav, the wine libations, was not kaful. Says the Gemara, Urminu, we have a contradiction. Viktiru, right? Viktiro, sorry. This is Viktiro Akonim Mizbecha. Shelo Yarev Chalavim. Chalavim, you should never mix the fats with the fats of one korban with another korban. So the same thing with the nesachim. Meaning, why did you tell me that you could start mixing the wine libations together? Here, you're not supposed to even mix the fats together.
It's the libation.
So he says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan imni tarvu kamar. You're right. We're talking about if it got mixed up. Meaning, lichatchila, don't mix it. But if it got mixed up, this is the halacha. So says the Gemara, Yach, if so, ve'em me'arevim b'niske kvasim b'niske parim elim, fa'afilu intervu nami lo, fa'abiniktani seifa bilan, it's going to be kasher, so it's mashma that the reisha is lechatchila. Meaning, if the seifa is telling you that if it depends before the bilila or after the bilila, whether it's going to be kosher or not kosher, so it's mashma that lechatchila, if it was, so you could do it in the reisha. And now you're telling me that the reisha is also not kosher lechatchila? So what's going on? So Abaya says, Hachi kamer, this is what it means to say. Me'arevim yenan, in tarev saltan mishamnan. You can mix the wine if it was already mixed, the flour and the oil. Meaning, if the flour and the oil was already mixed together, now you can mix the wine. Okay? V'yenan lechatchila. No, he says what? But wine you can't do lechatchila. He says vatanya. I'm when one of these words besol v'shemen. Aval yaim me'arvin. You could mix the wine together. So what's going on? So he says,
למה לא יהיה?
Elamar Abaye, but rather Abaye says, Hachi Kamar. This is what it means to say. Heicha deuktar saltam shemen. If they already brought the solat and the shemen, then me'arvin lechatchila. But if it was low uktar, if they didn't bring it yet, right? Ve'im nitarev, if it got mixed up, so then you could also mix up the wine. And if not, then you're not going to mix up the wine. Because then you're going to come and mix up the solat and the shemen. Meaning like this, if you're going to mix up the wine, I could say, you can mix up the. So take this, the solat and shemen, mix everything. No. That's why you're not allowed to. But if it was already brought, so then yes, then it's okay. Okay? Keves abai ma'omer says the two dots. Tanu rabbanan we learned in the Braita. Uminchato shne esurim limed al keves abai ma'omer shemichato kifula. Yachol keshem shemichato kifula kach yeno kaful. I would have thought to say that the wine is also going to be kaful. Tamol lomar v'nisko yaim v'rivitaim. Yachol I would have thought to say lo yeno kaful shenu nivlad minchato. There's going to be nivlad minchato. Aval, however, though yesham no kaful shu nivlad minchato. Tamol lomar comes teach you v'nisko kol nesachav. Lo yu el arevit. It's only going to be a revit. My Talmud, what's the Talmud? How do you learn this from? But we read it v'nisko, meaning it's written v'niska with a hey. We read it v'nisko. Keitzad. So how does it work? Niska the mincha is like nisko of the yain. Just like it's the yain is going to be revit, so to the shemen is going to be revit. Meaning we're learning the halachot together because of the way that it's written, and even though we're going to pronounce it differently. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan, Asham etzorah sheshechto shelo lishmo. When you have an Asham Metzorah that was slaughtered lo lishma, ta'un nisachim, you do need the wine libations. Shimata omer ken, if you're going to say pesalto, this become pasul. So matkif lo menashe bargada ela meata keves, right? Abayim omer, the keves that comes with omer, shechatol shelo lishmo, right? Temichato kvulat should be double. Shimata, but if you're not going to say that, it should become pasul. V'tamid sheshachar that was done lo lishma, yetaun shnei gezirin, right? By the Kohen, the two pieces of wood by the Kohen. Right? Why? By Kohen Echad, from one Kohen. Shimi ata omer Kohen, because if you're not going to say it's going to become pasul. And also, tamid shel b'mayim that was done shelo lishma, yitul shnei b'shnei Kohanim. Shimi ata omer Kohen shepasatul, should become pasul. So answers the Gemara, enach enami, you're right. Enach enami, elamar Abaye, chad aminayim nerka, you're right. We only brought one of the cases, but enach enami could have been another case. And Rav Amar bishlam anach olot ininu, these are olot. So since they're olot, tzadik amud aleph on the top. Right? If they're going to be olot, ilo chazu olat chova. If it's not fitting for an olat chova, it could become an olat nedava. Elahacha, but here, ilo mukmena b'mintef. You're not going to have it for its Asham Metzorah. Asham nedava. There's no such thing as an Asham nedava. Remember that any type of a guilt offering or a chatat or a sin offering, there's no such thing as a nedava. Only olot you could do nedava, right? Or shlamim or this, but not by sin offerings. This also we learned in accordance with Rav Yochanan. We're going into the Mishnah. Right? Asham metzorah sheshachto shelo lishma shelom tamid amo gaben menahot hareze ola al gaben tzadun nesachim. Why? V'tzarich Asham achelat. But you need another Asham. What to permit it? That means this is going to become right another Asham in order to come and to permit his mincha, because at the end of the day, since it was done shelo lishma, so therefore it says over here, right, it still needs the nesachim.